Hey guys, today we're gonna make Oreo Surprise. Oreo Surprise is absolutely one of our favorite things about being at camp. I know it's one of my favorite things about being at camp. So today I'm gonna show you how you can make Oreo Surprise. There's lots of different ways to make it. This is the way that I make it. You may have a different recipe that you wanna use. But to start with, you've got in your cooking bag, you've got a bag or box or whatever you would call this of double-stuffed Oreos. Or you might just have regular Oreos, either way. So you got your Oreos. I took those Oreos and I put them, and I actually crushed open the bag, but I took those and put them in a big bag and I've crushed them. So that's what you're gonna wanna do first. Now, you're gonna take most of these Oreos and you're gonna pour them, we'll go here. You're gonna pour them into a bowl and you're gonna keep out some of them. And you'll see why in just a minute, okay? So what you're making now, you see how I busted it, it's making a huge mess. I'm not the cleanest when I cook, so just bear with me. What you're gonna do now is you're gonna take you're gonna take 6 ounces of butter. I'm sure you have butter at your house. Melt, not 6 ounces, 6 tablespoons of butter. You're gonna take 6 tablespoons of butter. You're gonna melt it, and you're gonna pour it in the Oreos that you just did. And then, excuse me, you're going to just mix that up. So what you're basically making is a crust for the bottom of your Oreo Surprise. This is the part, a lot of people skip this part and they just do the pudding and the other stuff on it. I think this is the best part. Who doesn't love an Oreo crust? No, I do. So I have a 9x13 pan. You can use any pan you have at your house that will work. I'm gonna use this one. So I'm gonna take this, and you're going to spread this out, and you're gonna make a crust. Now, I don't have an oven here at Sam Place, but if you're at home, an extra step that is kinda nice that works is to put your oven on 350 and to just cook this for about 10 minutes max, 5 minutes even. All that does is it makes all of that solidify a little bit better and make it more like a true crust. I just washed my hands, I promise. Okay, so the next step is I've got cream cheese. I took the cream cheese and I put it in the oven for the microwave for about 25, 30 seconds just to get it really soft. And then I've got a cup of confectioner sugar. Confectioner sugar was in your cooking bag, so I've got a cup of that confectioner sugar. So I'm gonna pour that confectioner sugar in there. If you've got a mixer, this makes this an even easier process. I don't have a mixer, but we can always be creative and figure it out. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking that cream cheese and I'm taking that confectioner sugar and I'm just stirring it together, and it makes like a paste, I guess I would say. And this is gonna be a layer in your Oreo Surprise. Now, the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my whipped topping out of the refrigerator. Give me just a sec. And here I have my whipped topping. Your whipped topping you will have bought with your gift card from Walmart. So I've got my 16 ounces of whipped topping. You could also use 2 8-ounce containers of this. I'm gonna use 1 16-ounce, but I'm only gonna use half right now. And I'm gonna take half of that whipped topping, and you'll see why we want to save that other half. Oops. And I'm now gonna mix that in with my cream cheese and my powdered sugar. Talk about wanting to lick the bowl. This is awesome. So I'm just gonna mix that. I wanna get it good and mixed. So you wanna make sure that the cream cheese powdered sugar mixture is mixed in really well. So now that's mixed in really well. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna pour this on top of my Oreos. It's gonna look like this. Again, please excuse the mess around me. And I'm just gonna spread that. That's my layer. I'll be honest, that's my favorite layer. Okay, so this is gonna be really good and rich, if you like good rich desserts. When we get it at camp, a lot of times it does not have the Oreo crust, but it does have this usually at the bottom. Sometimes people skip this step. They just do whipped cream. You could do just whipped cream if you don't want to do the others, but I actually like this. And you want to get it good and spread out. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I try to make it almost like a seal so that that is kind of sealed in there. So I'm done with those two bowls. And I still have my whipped cream. And you're thinking, where's the pudding? Well, we haven't done the pudding part yet, but that's what we're gonna do now. So you have either two things of pudding like this, or they're two smaller things. This recipe calls for 5.9 ounces of pudding. This comes in 5 ounces. So I'm gonna use this whole thing and then a little bit of the other one that I have. And I'm gonna wipe my hands off real quickly. So I'm gonna take this pudding and I have a whisk that's gonna help me with this part. The nice thing about this is it also gives you a little bit of an arm workout because you have to stir so much stuff. And then I'm gonna take my other, and I don't wanna use this whole thing because that would be too much pudding. So what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna use just a little bit of it. You can eyeball it. I would use probably a third of this one. Okay. And then you're gonna use your whole milk. Whole milk makes this really yummy. You can use fat-free milk. I would not recommend it, but if that's the way you wanna go, you are welcome to do that. And so I'm just referring to my recipe. So we need 2 3/4 cup of milk. So I'm gonna put in my 2. And then I'm gonna put in my 3/4 cup. And I bet right now you know exactly what's about to happen. So what I'm doing now is I'm making another layer of my Oreo surprise. So I'm gonna take my whisk. And the thing about this pudding is you just have to keep whisking it. And if my husband watches this video, he's gonna be like, oh my goodness, the mess you make, because I make such a mess when I'm cooking. You're gonna keep whisking this until it starts to get thick. So, and you'll feel it. You'll feel the pudding start to get thick. So you're gonna keep whisking. While I'm doing this, I hope everybody's having a great summer. I know this is really weird to not be together. I hope everybody's staying safe. And please know that as soon as we can get you back at camp, we are going to get you back at camp. As soon as we can get you back in Sam Place, we're going to get you back to Sam Place because we miss you terribly. Miss Stephanie will probably post some pictures of what it was like to pack your boxes for you. And it has just been so much fun thinking of awesome things to do with you. So I'm still going to be mixing. It's going to take me a few minutes. And I'll tell you what, one thing that you can do is once you've mixed this, you can stick it in your refrigerator for about 2 minutes. So I think what I'm gonna do is ask Stephanie, she's recording this, to just pause this for a minute, and we're gonna stick this in the refrigerator and let this set for about 2 minutes. Okay guys, so we've got my pudding. It has been in the refrigerator. It is now more like pudding, less like liquid. And I took that opportunity to clean up everything around. So I'm gonna now make my pudding layer, which is so yummy. So I'm gonna take this pudding and I'm just gonna spoon this over. If it's still a little liquidy, that's fine, because you're gonna put it back in the refrigerator and let it sit for a little bit. So I'm gonna take that, and on this layer, I'm gonna spread out my pudding. And again, I'm gonna just make sure that this is completely covered. Okay. And I'm just gonna smooth that down so that it will be easy to cover, because we've got one last layer to go on. So the last layer that we're going to have is the rest of our whipped cream. So again, if you bought 2 8-ounce containers, you've used 1 8-ounce container in the bottom layer, which had the powdered sugar and the cream cheese. This is now gonna be the top layer. And this is the top layer of Oreo Surprise. So you're just gonna lay it down. If you've got a plastic, like a plastic icing tool, sometimes that works better than even a spoon. And you wanna let your whipped cream sit out for a little bit so that it's softer. This is still a little bit hard, but I'm just gonna lay this out. Because the whipped topping comes in the freezer section. So see how that's still a little bit frozen, but that's okay, we can still work with it. We're just gonna ice this. And if you remember, we left a little bit of our Oreos in our bag where we had crushed those. So what we're gonna do right now is, once I get this all, now, in a perfect world, you don't have any of your pudding coming through and it's just the whipped topping on the top. Doesn't really matter, it tastes the same. So now I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna lay it out. Okay, and the last step and the most yummy part is you're gonna take a little bit more of your Oreos and you're gonna put those on top. So it's kind of like you've got an Oreo topping on the top and an Oreo topping on the bottom. And you wanna use up all those Oreos. You don't want any Oreos to be left. Just do that. And then it's really better if you make this and then cover this and let it sit in your refrigerator for about 1.5 to 2 hours. That's gonna make it even firmer, which makes it easier to eat. So I'm gonna take my aluminum foil, take a sheet of that. Although it'll be tempting to go ahead and eat it, we're gonna wait. We're gonna cover this. And then we're gonna put it in our refrigerator and we are ready to have Oreo Surprise. This is exactly how they do it at camp. So we hope you have a great day and we miss you so much. Hope you will enjoy your Oreo Surprise for dinner.